Okay, I don't know if it's too late, but I have a title for another work. I'm going to call it The Mask Unmasks.
Mm, I like
And
that.
I think that one thing that I've learned through this pandemic and the intersection with Black Lives Matter is that the people that mask and the people that don't mask, it says a lot.
Mm, mm,
Okay. And so that's one part of it. The other part of it, as someone with a disability and specifically related to hearing, the masks are awful. They're isolating. They cause me anxiety. And I know it's not just people with hearing loss. I know everybody is struggling to hear and to understand. And so I think about, the people that misunderstand things and the problems that can occur as a result of that, or the people that just fake it and pretend like they heard and they didn't hear. So for me, like, this mask, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, there's masks and there's shields, and I mean, there's so many different kinds of symbolism that I can go with masks and shields, right? And this has been my life actually lately, thinking about masks and shields and how we can provide access for the students that I work with that are deaf or hard of hearing, or my peers that have disabilities. And it's not just deaf and hard of hearing people; it's people that need that facial expression. We need to see the smiles. They talk about smizing.
yeah.
It's like your eyes like smiling when you're like
Here,
behind a
Tyra Banks, right?
right. And I I actually have a Facebook group. It's called Masks and Shield Hoarders Unite. To be inducted into this group, you must own at least 8 different kinds of masks or shields. And I think I'm not only the president, but I'm also, like a whatever, a participant. And so for
The
me, like,
platinum level.
yeah. So I think about the anxiety that happens when we want to be safe. Those of us that want to be safe, and encountering people that don't want to be safe. And I think that also being sheltered in place and having things like a screen where it's just bombarding you in the face 24/7, and just having to unplug sometimes is so necessary. Um, yeah. So that's what I think about in terms of like isolation and quarantine and all of these things that have two sides,
Yeah,
right? Everything you could have it like this, but it has two sides.
yeah, yeah. Oof, yeah. Latrell.
Yeah, so I think I come at the loneliness part a little bit differently. I'm an only child as well, and I was single most of my life. And believe me, there are times when I think, oh my goodness, to be alone in an apartment right now. But then there's also in talking to lots of friends who are in a house full of people, the kind of loneliness that you can get and that you can feel even when you're around other people, and how it has revealed um, fissures in relationships that where when we could come and go and just have dinner together, we could kind of fake it, we could kind of pretend that everything was okay. But now that we are together all of the time, in some instances, I think in some instances it's revealing a great deal of closeness. But I think in some instances too, it's revealing a great deal of loneliness.
Yeah, yeah. I have acutely been aware of that. I don't know if I've shared in one of our groups, but initially I didn't write, right? So I didn't write. I was going to be a voyeur in this process. And then it was when we moved into COVID space that I just had nights where I was like screaming. So I was like,
Mhm.
rather than scream at For Color Girls, let me write. And and use the creative process that everybody had been partaking in, but just to sort of make um, more real or external things that I wasn't even telling the truth about myself, right? Like things I wasn't even acknowledging. And so that has been, part of, as you all have said, there's been so much unmasking and being more authentic. And I think every day since that COVID sort of crisis that I went through for that first month, I was like, oh, I need to show up and be willing to be seen much more often, around, being more transparent.
I think a lot of people went through that same process, because like you said, like we were talking about before, is like before COVID, you could run around, you could move, you could do things. You had a lot of ways to distract yourself. And then COVID hit and it shut all that down. And personally, I remember being at the house and not like Latrell said, like not being physically alone, but the thought process in my head was so loud and so silencing at the same time, which is weird, that it made this weird like together alone moment where like you'd go upstairs and you'd be like, everything's wonderful and I'm with my roommates, and I'd go downstairs and I'd be like, how is this my life? What does this mean? Like, where am I supposed to be at? And you have this crisis. And it was really, really strange to work through that. It was a moment. It was a whole moment.
Yes. And I will never forget, Misty wrote about, we were having a conversation, I don't know if for those of you who were around, where we were all sort of sitting around, and Misty goes, it occurred to me, they've been talking about people at risk for COVID. And she was like, I'm people. I will never forget that moment. Like, it has lived with me forever. She was like, then they talked about those people, and they talked to, I was like, and the I am people moment has been so life-changing for me, in terms of reflecting on everything that we've been going through.
Yeah, because up until that moment, I was like, it was everyone else. It was like old people and people who have, immune systems who are compromised. And I was like, I'm not one of those people. And they were like, people who are heavy. And I was like, okay. And people who have, blah, 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 and have history of this. And I was like, ooh, I am people. I need to stay in the house. Go over there, 6 feet. Don't breathe on me. Why you sneezing? Why your face? No, go over there.
So you can see the importance of laughter, because we laugh a lot. So I guess I want to shift gears a little bit, not unless there's something else you want to offer to the group, because I wanted to talk a little bit, right? We've teased people that there's a project, right? So people might want to be like, what is that thing that everybody's referencing? But before I move to talk about the project, does anyone want to share anything else? Okay, I think we're all like waiting with bated breath because Linda teased us with images of what might come. So the short answer is, so Linda mentioned that she decided to write for a grant to take poetry based on the work of For Color Girls, and form it into a graphic novel. And so the writing that you've heard us talk about has been to go into the novel. We also will have a website up and about so that you can find, because we want to build a community for women to find each other and hear each other and share, that is beautiful and artistic and collaborative. So we are looking at building community, not just showcasing poetry. And so anybody, so that is the work. And if people want to share a little bit about your writing, your process, your work, and then Linda can give us some images about how beautiful the work is going to be.
Yay.
I see some couple people lit up, but I was like, go.
So you want to know about like the process that we went through for creating it?
You want to talk about your work at all, or what people?
So for me, the prompts helped a lot that January would give to us. And I remember for each of them, I would read the prompt and I'd read the prompt again and I'd read it over one more time. And then I'd kind of sit and I'd stare at my blank screen. And sometimes I would start to write things and I'd go back and I'd change it and I'd write something out again and I'd go back and change it and I'd write something out again. And it was kind of like this, it was like double dutching with poems, like trying to catch that right beat to get into it. And then once I could do that, it flowed out easily. The first couple ones I think were the hardest, which was I think the childhood and intro, because like that's deep trauma, you know, that's from like way back in the day and it shapes who you are. But like after that, I think they started to flow a lot easier. My brain got back in the process of like actually writing. And so like I would be sitting at work and be like, these words need to go on paper, and they wouldn't go away until I wrote them down. Like they would just kind of roll around in there and be like, we need to be put on paper, put us on paper. So after the very first one, it got easier and easier to go through the process for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, I dedicated all of my work and based all of my work for this collection on the relationship of mothers and daughters. And so it was a lot about me and my mom's relationship and me and my daughter's relationship and just going through trauma together and how we as women go through things, especially women of color, but we don't always talk about it. And we can be mad. I know I was mad at my mama for, oh, you did this and you did that, but I never told her. You know, I never expected her to apologize. Then I'm like, well, how can I expect an apology if she doesn't know she offended me? And so it's kind of like through the process of writing and grappling with those things, it gave me the strength and the courage to be able to be like, hey, you know, this happened, this was hurtful. And then she was able to say, you know, I'm sorry for that. Get over it. Because that's kind of me and my mom's relationship. But and then my daughter Camille also, and she's here now, so she'll jump on. But my daughter Camille also, her triumphs and struggles with me, because part of being a mother is knowing that you're not going to do everything perfectly, you're not going to do everything right, but it's hard to hear your child say, Mom, you hurt me. And so I feel like it was really rewarding and very healing because I had the courage to say, hey, Mom, you hurt me, and give her the opportunity to apologize, and then have my daughter turn around and say, Mom, you hurt me, to give me the opportunity to apologize. So that was really great. Camille's here now. We were talking about our writing process and what the project has given you.
Well, I think the project has really given me a lot of closure and a lot of space for me to express myself and say my thoughts and feelings. And I feel like I really needed that because before I started this project, I was really sad all the time. I felt like my self-esteem was really, really low. And I feel like by writing and like airing out all that stuff, I feel a lot better now.
Oh, wow. Whew. Right? Like, talk about heart space. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Camille. Tina, what were you going to say?
So, as someone kind of newbie to this space, I guess, you know, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh gosh, I could never do something like this, just do it. You know, and one thing that I've realized, and I don't know if it's because I turned 50 and notice all the gray, this is my COVID gray,
We love
I let it grow out. Anyway, my point is that I tend to forget things if I don't write it down. So like you talk about, you know, like writing stuff down for me, like I always have my phone. I have random notes all over my phone, but it's been so helpful for me to remember like, oh, I had that thought. What was that thought? And then to be able to go back and have that record and then be able to put it together and create something was really, you know, so was really helpful for me. So I, you know, just like committing to this project made me do it. And I'm so glad it made me do it because I learned that I could do it. Right. And so, you know, if you're looking, you know, in these COVID times, I know it's getting, you know, close to school. Oh, that's the other thing. When we talk about racial inequities and the effects of COVID and all of that, I keep thinking about going back to school and all of the controversy with that happening. Back to my point. Wow, I'm everywhere.
No. I love it.
Love you, Tina.
But I just feel like, you know, during this time that I've been home, and so I've been, you know, my privilege is showing. I live in a household where we have like 3 electronic devices to one person, probably. You know, we have, you know, my husband and I both work and can work from home. My kids are 18 and 13. I just have to supply them with food and they can make it by themselves. You know, like I don't have to cook for them. I don't have to care for them. Heck, they make me food, you know? And so that's my privilege showing. And so I think in our own ways, we've all given back in the way that we can with what we can, you know? And we just need to keep doing that. We need to keep seeing and looking for ways that we can help, you know, with the talents and the gifts that we have. And so that's just, you know, what I would encourage people, that, you know, you will always have more than someone else. Even if you feel like you have nothing, it could be a smile, you know, it could be like a thumbs up, and you can make someone's day and not even know about it. So that's
No.
what I have to say.
Woo. And Tina, when I talk about our social media launch, probably will be sharing little glimpses of wisdom, because can always be counted on to be sort of in some ways, like, right, like our big sister, our wise leader. Like, she always is so grounded. And so when we start to get more messages out, know that you can look for Tina to do that and more, because she's also funny as all get out. And I was going to use a bad word, so I cleaned myself up, because I know we're on public TV. So so does anyone else want to share? Linda, do you want to give people a glimpse of what is forthcoming? Do you want to do that? Because I know we're almost we're sort of got like 10 minutes to go. So, Tina, yes.
I'm gonna mute my picture so that it's bigger, so that, like, maybe we should, if we're not gonna be talking, we should mute our picture so that what Linda is showing is gonna be nice and big.
Oh, I will do. All right.
Because I'm going to share screen, so I don't think it really matters if you're still connected or not, but okay. I want to preface sharing the artwork with just a quick explanation of what a graphic novel is, because I understand that some people may not even know what that is. So a graphic novel is basically a comic book, but in a book form. So it's like a thicker comic book. John Lewis, the esteemed John Lewis, who just passed away last weekend, this is a book that he wrote about his life that someone else illustrated. So this is an example of a graphic novel. So they can be even thicker, but it's a comic book, and that is one example. Okay, so on to what we are creating. So the title of what we are making is called
Oh no!
Who Weather Life Storms.
Oh, there it is. She's back. Okay. Yay!
Oh, okay. I'm like, oh no, what happened? Okay. May the connection be clear and flowing. Okay. Okay, so the title for the book is called For Colored Girls, and this is originally inspired by the Entezaki Shange Book of Poetry that Karen referenced earlier, and was the name of the group that her and Latrell started 2 years ago. The part that's making it ours and unique to us is the Who Weather Life Storms. And of course, that this is a comic or a graphic novel, as opposed to just the poems in text form. So I'm going to share my screen and then talk you through a few pages, and then we should be good here. Okay, so share screen. And do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, let me make that full screen. And is that full screen for people?
Yes, it is.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
I forgot to ask you to do the Breonna Taylor picture. That was beautiful, but
I was going to do that, but then I didn't. But maybe I could still pull it up and share it. Okay. Okay. So For Colored Girls Who Weather Life Storms, a graphic novel created by and about women of color, project of the Trauma Resilience Initiative, and the artwork is by Rija Khan. So she's not with us here today on this call, but hopefully you'll get a chance to meet her sometime in the future. But she is the wonderful artist who's doing all the artwork, and that is her Instagram. Okay. This is Misty with a different style. She's had many hairstyles, so this is a former one, but so Misty with braids. So these initial ones are character sketches, and then I'll show you a couple pages from the book. So this is just a little teaser. This is Monica. She's the one who's living by herself that Misty mentioned earlier. So another one on the call. Another one not with us at the moment. Camille, who we heard from earlier. She's in middle school. Okay. And then Ashanti, who we also heard from on this call. So Ashanti is Camille's mom. And then Samira, who is masked up, so we don't even get a really good look at her face here. But okay, so her mask is saying, "Is your freedom more valuable than my life?" Because of this virus period, because of the masks, that is also coming in to some of the pieces. So this is a spread about from Maria's writing. She's also not on this call, but these are the end pages. Yeah, and her piece is talking about struggling with mental health and ups and downs, and how she was able to come through and start to move forward and is really living to help other people as well, and to understand the importance of mental health. So that's Maria. And this one on the left is also from Maria's piece. So for Color Girls, that's the Instagram handle. Follow us on Instagram. As Karen said, we have a website that will be up in the near future, and there will be more ways to follow us. But for now, if you want to connect with us, you can find us here. And you can also always find a link through the Trauma Resilience Initiative social media.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are all kind of like, woo! Some of the art the first time, which is absolutely gorgeous. And so thank you for sharing. It is going to be a beautifully illustrated novel. And so we are hoping people will get incredibly curious. We hope to have an anticipated release in October, along with a virtual event where we'll be showcasing poetry and art and possibly music. And if you happen to be an artist out there and you want to participate in a really creative process, we're going to start working towards that. So hit us up and let us know that you want to be sort of showcased in this really creative women's showcase. I think we haven't talked about this, but I think we could take art, like performance stuff from men, but we could also decide to just keep it bounded for women, but because we could be that way. What are your observations, Heather? What were you going to say? Okay, you look like you were going to say something. I don't want to.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. It's just a great project overall.
Yeah. So we covered a lot of ground, and we have about 5 minutes. So I guess I wanted to see if there were closing words that you want to share about to other women, to people in the community, about the project, yourself, or their hope, right? Like hope for mental health. Yes.
I think just another thing about this project, something that you made very clear at the beginning, that I think is really important in this moment as we try and shift to a more just society. The goal here was never that we bring all the women under this umbrella and that you and I are the head of this thing. One of the things that we are really trying to emulate is you can do this in your community. Find a group of women, gather together on a Sunday or a Saturday or a Tuesday night with a margarita without, make art, make music, and that a much more healthy society wouldn't be like, one Enron, right? It would be lots of little tribes all over the place helping one another to heal, and to celebrate just kind of being alive and being a woman. So those are my final thoughts.
Yeah.
I would say my final thoughts is that a lot of the times we spend women, especially women of color, being this backbone and this strength. And we don't allow ourselves the moment of weakness. And there is nothing wrong with having that. There is nothing wrong with crying. There is nothing wrong with needing to talk. There is nothing wrong with saying, I need help. Like, if that is what you need, honey, find it, do it. there's nothing wrong with that. I spent so much of my life just being like, it's okay because this is what we were supposed to do. And I didn't want to cry in front of people. I've met these women and I have not cried in front of my family. I cried in front of them. Find you people like that you can release with. That's mine. So.
Whew. I'm in my feelings.
So along those same lines, mine is going to be short and sweet. Lean in and lean on.
Yeah.
That's what I think I've learned from this whole process.
I think I learned to be patient with myself and how to forgive myself and forgive others. Short and sweet.
Heather, Linda, do you have any closing thoughts?
I think just kind of carrying on from the last couple comments, I feel like something that's been coming up for myself, and I'm kind of guessing a lot of other people, is that one of the many things that's coming up is this idea of enoughness. Are we enough? Are we doing enough? Are we being enough? And especially with this amplification on the news of how serious the problems are. These aren't new problems. All of this has been here, right? But suddenly the news is paying attention to some aspect of it, right? To the inequality and to what's going on. And all of this needs to be dealt with. And when we stop to think, oh my God, there's so much to fix in this world. How much more can I do? And you want to do more and more. But then at some point you go, okay, I can do this much, and I have to include taking care of myself, and I have to eat every day, and I have to sleep. And it's like, if you can start with that and take the time that you need and know that you don't have to do anything to be enough, and to just tell yourself that you are enough as you are, and to just remind yourself that on a daily basis, that is the best place to start. And then from there, you can start to help other people, and you can find your tribe, find your people. Find the love in your heart for yourself, and then help that, grow that big for the world. So, yeah.
So hopefully everybody knows why I sit with these women most Sunday afternoon in sacred space, creating, imagining, exploring, sometimes debating, and we invite you to, and know that you will start to see social media stuff, not only just because we want to and we think it's interesting and trying to build up interest in the showcase and book, but also because these are the most amazing women who have so much to share. And we just want to create a container so that other people can join in on the conversation. So be looking for more conversations. And I am grateful to all of you for making time to talk about women and women of color and mental health and trauma and COVID, and for your time, talent, and energy, and forever appreciative. So thank you.
Camille says, team tip, don't forget the Instagram handle.
All right. Thank you, Team Tip.
Thank you. And be well, stay well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, there was one question around pre-ordering the book. I think it's, Linda, I think we're too early for pre-order, but we will soon have that available.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, okay, for real.